There's two slides that I show just about every clinic that I've done or speaking engagements at association meetings, and this is one of them. I think is really, really important with all the highs and lows throughout a game that you have to be able to control your emotions when the game gets, at a crazy level to bring it back down. No one else is going to do it. Okay, so we have to be responsible to bring those players and those coaches down and keep them on an even keel. So cannot be an elite level official if you can't manage the players and coaches' emotions. And you definitely can't be that person if you can't manage your own. So you got to stay in the element. Next slide, I show this one as well. Joe DeRosa, obviously longtime NBA, college NCAA official, 5 keys to success. Respect the game. Means work hard. Start out, okay? We're not making a ton of money doing this, but we chose to do this. So for the sake of the game, just work hard. The other is respect the game by watching what you say on social media. I have 4 or 5 young men that I'm still kind of mentoring. One is already at the college level. But I'm always reminding these, and I say young kids because they're all under 30. I always remind these kids, watch what you say on social media, whether it be Facebook or Twitter, how if you're disrespectful, I mean, obviously, who in here does not know who Jeff Sminsky is? We all do, right? Okay. Who would go on social media and make a comment about the work that Jeff's done on a Saturday? Probably nobody. Okay, we just wouldn't do it. Well, if we wouldn't do it towards Jeff, why would we do it towards anybody else that's working a Big Ten game on a Saturday, whether it be basketball or football? Okay, these guys are working at a level that nobody in here is probably going to work at. The knowledge they have, we don't know what's being told by their bosses, how to control what they want done in that particular game, whether they want to call tight, let them play. We don't know the all surroundings of what's going on. So really be careful what you're saying on social media. That's part of respecting the game. Okay, it's a bad look. When you get on there and rip officials on social media, it's just a bad look. Keep it to yourself. As frustrating as it can be, between buddies, that's one thing, but try to avoid that. Respect the game. Court presence and confidence. Be cocky, or be cocky. Be confident, but not cocky. Don't be arrogant. Don't be that official that you always have to have the last word, and the way you carry yourself on and off the floor is cocky presence. Don't be that person. Fundamental positioning at court coverage, call accuracy, accountability, communication skills. Got to be approachable. That's the first step to having good communication skills. Is you got to be approachable. If you're that person that always has to have the last word, you're probably going to struggle with coaches. All right. Sometimes just listening, getting a feel for what he or she's thinking, then responding. But when you have to be the dominant force, and or you're just not approachable, it's going to hurt your career. Next, please, Tom. So when they got the call from Scott, and I'm like looking around and trying to figure out what's new out there over the last couple of years, and honestly, there's not a ton of new literature information out there. So I kind of pieced some things together. A lot of this stuff that I'm going to talk about in the next 30, 40 minutes is really more philosophy type stuff. Really gets into floor mechanics, positioning, court coverage with a twist of some philosophies. And what do I mean by that? It's really taken from more the men's side, the NCAA stuff that I've gotten to know a little bit working at that level. And it doesn't mean that we're trying to change our mechanics, our court coverage, because the NCAA men's side is probably the closest to federation as you can possibly get. Okay, but it's more the philosophies of that side. What is the call rate for a good official at the high school level? Anybody have any idea? There's no stats out there. If you broke down film and you've watched film, a lot of film like I have, we have Arbiter for that reason. All right, I would guess it's probably anywhere from 86 to 89, 90% for a high school official. Anybody have any idea what it is compared to the men's NCAA? NCAA?
I got a question. What is call rate?
Percentage of calls that you're getting correct throughout the night on a particular game.
And you need the cameras back you up.
I'm sorry?
You need cameras back you up.
Correct.
Who measured that?
If you watch film and you would go through, and if I watched 10 ball games from 10 different people, and we've kind of figured out who's your top 10 best officials in your association, they're going to probably be somewhere in the high 80s for call rate. Okay, I mean, it's breaking down film, you know, once in a while that's the great thing, is to kind of figure out where you're at. How many decisions are we making a night? Any idea? Hundreds. 200 to 300 a night. Is the coach out of the box enough? I have to say something. Do I want to call 3 seconds here? I mean, I'm not just talking fouls or violations. Decisions on that floor, once that ball goes up in the air, 200 to 300 decisions a night. So there's a ton of decisions that go into it. But if you compare, again, a good high school official, 86 to 89%, compared to 92%, I think 2 or 3 years ago was what the NCAA men's were averaging, 92%. Okay. How can I improve that call rate? First is understanding my talent on the floor. How many people put time into going, if you're going to a gym or an area, so I'm down the Davidson area. If I'm going to Bay City Western and they're playing Mount Pleasant, I wouldn't have a clue. So I got to do a little bit of legwork on that game. All right, maybe I've talked to somebody that, you know, for Bite to Eat at a game recently and said, oh yeah, I had Bay City Western. I would probably call that guy and say, hey, give me some clues of what I'm going to see here tonight. Is it going to be an up and down game? Is it going to be, you know, a bloodbath? You know, who are their best players? If not, then I might get on their school website. I'm going to dig for as much as I can to figure out what my talent is on the floor. If they're averaging 35 points a game and one, you know, I got to kind of feel what type of game I'm going to have in front of me. It just helps me. Okay. It helps that I know who their key players are. If the floor is spread and 42 is their best shooter, and I kind of, you know, I noticed that during pregame, then I got to know where he's at, especially in last minute situations. I know the ball's going to be in his hand. So if I'm in, you know, position adjust situation in the C position, then I got to know where 42 is at, and I got to expect a shot if he's in my area. Okay, so just understanding the talent on the floor will help you. If you're in lead and you know you got a decent low post player, which is few and far between nowadays, but you know you got a decent player because you've done a little bit of homework, yeah, you're going to probably rotate with him more often, correct? Okay, so that's part of understanding your talent. Great communication with partners, positioning, and of course, taking better angles. It's all about angles, guys, gals. It's all about angles. How many rookies do we have here tonight? Awesome, good stuff. Okay, so it's all about angles. All right. As some of us get older, we don't get up and down the floor as fast, and it becomes you gotta use your head. You gotta be smart with what you're doing and where you're at on the floor and getting in good position to see in between players and get in the slot. But the angles is what it's all about. What can we do to adapt to today's style of basketball? Now I'll get into that in a few minutes when we talk about the different positions on the floor, but most of the game is perimeter oriented now, where it's spread out. So we got to be able to cover that. Again, we are going to talk a little bit about implementing certain philosophies into your core coverage. Next, please. All right, you can tell this is outdated because what's the first glaring mistake here from nowadays? Trail, where it's supposed to be. Top of the arc, right? Our home position is top of the arc now, where it was 28 feet. And we started to, you know, when I was with the association in Genesee County for 2 years, and then I was on staff with Pat McKenna as trainer and director of training and recruiting for a couple of years, and boy, we struggled to get people down to 28 foot. Now they want us top of the arc. It's even a little bit lower. What else? You probably wouldn't start that wide in the league. Never. You probably have no reason to be out there. Okay, so obviously, don't really look at this in a breakdown, but it's out of date. I just couldn't find nothing that had the trail at the top of the arc. We'll come back to this in a second. All right, from the trail position, and I know you guys are going to cover this, and we'll try to break down a little bit of 2-person and 3-person. I know you're going to talk about positioning on the floor and mechanics breakdown. What I want to do is just add a few twists to it, give you some things to think about. If you implement it in your game, great. If you give it a try and you see that maybe rebounding action really helps with it, great. That's what it's all about. Just a different view. Again, we talked about trail, top of the arc. We used to teach shoulders at a 45 when you set up. So if I'm in the trail position and then the arc is there, what I don't want to do is look straight out at my matchup. I don't want to square up to my matchup. I can't do this, guys. Sorry. You don't want to square up to your matchup when you're in the trail position. If you can tilt your shoulders just a little bit and square it up to the top of the arc, that'll open up your vision to see that pick and roll come a little bit easier. Okay, but if you get down that trail position, even if you start at the arc, but if you square up, everything's going to surprise you when it gets there. All right, a lot of times we have help. Again, this is for 3-person. We got help from that C on those pick and rolls. Okay, or if it's at the high post, we might even have a lead helping us out there. But if you open up your shoulders a little bit, that'll help you feel your preposition, see that play develop before it gets on top of you. All right, because sometimes we are stuck. If the C's got high post action and all of a sudden that pick and roll's there, it's you. You've got 4 guys and you've got to referee that play by yourself. Difference in 2-person would be obviously you're working the arc in 2-person. Okay, so we're starting at arc extended and we're working up to the circle. We're working back and forth in 2-person. So it's a little bit different. No need to extend up to the matchup. And what I mean by that, if I start at the arc, tilt my shoulders a little bit, and that play moves back a little bit, I don't need to take 2 or 3 steps to stay square with that matchup. Just move your eyes. Okay, we don't need to go high and go 30, 32 foot on that play. Unless it's, you got trap situation, that's different. You got somebody really ball hawking the ball, then we got to flow with it. But if not, if it's just general pressure, 6 foot, maybe you got a count going, it's okay. Just let that play go up. If it goes up towards the division line, let it go. You don't need to work all the way up to the division line and then work back again. Just move your eyes with the play. I'm going to slide down where it says 90% of our calls come in the front court. So think about that. The reason why people don't want to work on the bottom side of plays or on the low side of plays, or they always feel they got to get up high, is because they what? They don't want to get beat. They don't want to get beat. You're going to get beat. Okay? Learn to officiate behind the play a little bit. There's nothing wrong with that. All right, so if we got 90% of our calls are in the front court, and that 10% is in transition, jump ball, throw-ins, that means only 2 or 3 calls a night are probably going to come out of transition. So we officiate them from behind. If nothing helps or nothing develops with it, loop it, get back down in the league, you're ready to go. But you'll find that working low side, working near that arc, even if that ball is at the arc and you get on the bottom side of that arc and you're 2 or 3 feet under the arc, your positioning for seeing plays develop and rebounding action is going to be off the charts better rather than being up high. So I just want to jump down to that where I said here, don't be scared to work on the low side of matchups. Don't loop in the middle of a matchup. So if I got that matchup in front of me, do we know what stack means? Have any idea?
I've heard it a lot.
Okay. I just asked, what, another rookie? Where's the other rookie at? Here's one. Where's the other rookie at? What's stack mean? Do you have any idea? Okay, so if I'm an official and I got that matchup right in front of me and I got the offensive person here and the defender, that's called being stacked. I can't see what's happening between the two of them. I want to be in the slot. There's our angles, okay? So if I'm stacked on a play, okay, I got to move. I got to get on the bottom side of that to see that, all right? Now, if you happen to want to get out of there, come up high and loop it, don't loop. You're going to get stacked on that play. All right. Don't give up a great look for a good look because you're scared to get beat. You're going to get beat, even a two-person in trail. Okay. Kids are fast. All right. Take care of what we can take care of at 90%. That means front court status. Take care of those plays first. When do we give up ball to center? All right, here's a big one. This is like a philosophy thing. Can you go back to that slide with court coverage? All right, so we know that if I'm in trail, Mr. Shoemake's working the center position. Actually, he's working trail, I'm working center, okay? Lane line extended up, comes on this side, it's supposed to be C, correct? We know that, right? Okay, here's a philosophy to think about. Also trail, try to stay as much to the sideline as possible. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, a lot of movement up top. All right, now they want you, we're finding out the more the head is still, your call rate goes up. Just a fact. This is the stuff from the NCAA. We don't have no data from the federation, but from the NCAA, they're saying that the more your head is still, you're not thinking about other things. You're not thinking, is coaching my way to move? Like your head still, you're going to be more focused on what's going on. Your call rate will go up. Okay, so try to stay close to that sideline as possible, except in two-person, right? Because you're covering that other side of the floor. You don't have a choice. All right, so if that ball, obviously he's on a count anyways, even if it's 3 or 4 feet into my primary, I'm what? He's on a count. I'm staying off it, right? I know he's on it. He's got a count going. I'm staying off it. Now, here's something to think about. This would have to be pregame, okay? This would have to be pregame. But if it goes up near the division line, 6, 8 feet into the center's primary, if I'm working with Schmeggy and I'm working with Tom, we would pregame this, and I would say, hey, that happens, trail stay on. Trail stay on that. I don't care until that ball ventures down 30 to 28 foot. If I'm center, I'm staying on the high post. I'm not coming off it. Because as soon as I start doing this, guess what? What's going to happen?
Big area that's not being officiated.
I'm going to miss something. Okay. If it's heavy pressure and that ball's coming my side, even if it's up near the division line, even if it's, like I said, 6, 8 feet this side, let your trail hang with that. Let him stay on that. He's either going to be on a count or maybe it's zone and they're just go bumping back and forth. Let your trail stay on that. Okay. Now that ball comes down to me. We have pressure. We have a trap situation. I'm going. Or obviously, if I feel my lead's coming and I feel him coming or she's coming, I would rotate anyways.
Would you pitch in on that situation?
As a lead?
As a trail?
That's the only time, thank you. That's the only time you'd want to come out on the floor. Maybe take a couple steps out. One, that gives me a chance to see if you got a count going. And also, if I see you take a couple steps out, I know we've pre-gamed it. That means I know you're on. You've stayed on a little bit longer than normal. Okay, but you just can't expect, we'll talk about the rule book here in a second, but when you become a black and white official in terms of what's in the rule book, that's the way it has to be. Mechanics, that's the way it has to be. You're going to struggle. You'll struggle to at least work at a decent level or a high level. Okay. I'm not saying improvise and change everything, change the wheel. I'm not saying that. I'm saying in court coverage, don't be scared to at least pregame this with your partners. Okay? You cannot expect this if you're working with two guys you don't know and you don't cover. Okay. All right, can you go back, please? Any questions with that? Again, it's more of a philosophy thing. Okay, we do it at the NCAA men's, and it's just we do that, but we've also implemented it in the Flint area, and I know a lot of they love it because it's taking our eyes off of bumping back and forth from do I have it? No, I don't. Okay, I come back. Oh, just coming close to that. Okay, until you're really comfortable with it, it's coming towards you. Try to stay off it. No need to be constantly moving. We talked about that, even in this, that's trail. Close down on shot attempts. Okay. Try not to leak. I know you guys will talk about this in other meetings, I'm sure, in court coverage, and I know you've heard this, but for new officials, if anything I can tell you is get your weight out on your front foot, if that'll help you any. Okay, I teach this in all my clinics. The shot goes up, or if you're trailing the free throw situation and you get more weight out on that front foot, you don't have to stand flat-footed. You're going to have more tendency to hold tight or step down like you should than you will if you just start to rock. And that came from a Big Ten official 5-6 years ago at a camp I was at, and I loved it. And I've shared it a ton, and it works, but you got to be committed to it. Okay, stay engaged in that play. Next. Center. So we want to work, obviously, free throw line extended. We want to stay as square to that sideline as possible. Okay. Years ago, when I don't know, this is my 13th year, but when I first started, it was always open up to the play. Okay. You open your shoulders up. All right. Now we're teaching, at least down there, we want to stay as square as possible, and we're just turning our heads so we don't lose all that vision on the backside. Okay, so if the division line's up and balls come down and I turn to accept it, lead hasn't rotated yet, I don't want to open them shoulders up because all of a sudden I've taken everything out. The chance of a pick and roll coming from the corner, probably not going to happen, but we've seen it on film, it has happened. Okay, or if somebody gets punched right in front of me and I just do this, I'm not going to see that. Just turn your head. Any doubt with your trail, you can always give a quick tap. I got it. Okay, that comes back to communications. 2 or 3 feet in either direction. Anticipate your position adjustment to avoid getting stacked. There's a great video that shows one of the officials anticipating his PA, okay, and position adjust. And if you're in center and they're in zone and you're getting that quick reversal to the guy in front of you, and you know he's a shooter, you should already be down on the low side waiting for this action. In the slot, waiting for this ball. You know it's coming. Okay, you know this guy's already knocked down 3 or 4 threes for the night. But if I just stand there and I wait for him to catch it, then I decide I'm going to rotate, guess what? Shot's gone, and if it comes up short, I have no idea. Okay, so anticipate your position adjustments, especially in the trail and center position for 3-person. For 2-person, obviously you can do that with in the trail position as well. It's a little bit more difficult, and there's not as much to do in the lead when it comes to that, but anticipate those situations. Again, try to work on the low side of matchups. I hear this all the time. I'm in center. If I take 2 steps down and I get on the low side, Brian, the end line's 4 feet from me. Yep. But as soon as you loop that, one, you might get stacked. If you happen to get up on the high side of it, your rebounding action when that shot goes is better from down there than it is up here. Stay square to side. I got that in there twice. Not sure. That was a mistake. Any questions with the C position? Yeah.
Say 2 to 3 feet in the direction you're talking about, that's as far down as you want to go.
Yeah, you would want to go more than a step or 2. If you take 2 steps, you're probably at 3 feet. Okay, so if you got to play directly in front of you in the C position and I take my 2 steps, that's about the max you're going to want to go.
And then you were just talking about sometimes 4 feet from the end line.
Now, if you take 2 steps, you're probably going to be, it's going to feel like you're that close. Just don't give up that spot. Don't panic when you realize you're that close. The other area of we always panic is when we feel that lead coming. Okay, we're on the low side. We're pretty close to the end line because we've taken our 2. You're in perfect position, and all of a sudden your peripheral vision allows you to see that lead coming, and we panic. We want to loop it and get out of there. Again, don't give up a great look for a good look. All right. I should have added also. I should have put this in here. If I'm stuck here because I don't want to give up that position, and maybe he's acting like he wants to drive or he wants to put it up, I'm going to hang tight there for just a second. Lead's already rotated. If I'm the trail, or Denny, you're the trail on the backside sliding down to center, he's got to help me with the division line. Because I'm really the new trail, but I can't get out of there because I got a matchup that I don't want to leave. So I'm going to hang tight, see what develops. If it's a pass, great. He puts it on the floor, great. But Denny's got to be wary of it. I'm not saying he's got to stay at 26, 28 feet. He can start to slide, but he's got to realize if we got a tip going the other way and it gets out near the division line, I'm nowhere near the division line to officiate that play. See, these are all the things that we think about, and that's why we panic. Okay, we go, oh shit, there's no way I'm going to get there. All right? No, you're not going to get there. That's why your partners have to help you out. Figure.
I heard this, I think it was an officiating Michigan day, it goes to what you're saying. It's okay to have 2 centers.
Absolutely.
No big deal. And
Yeah.
when I was younger, it would freak me out a little bit too. But as as I got more comfortable on the court and realized that philosophy, no big deal.
No, it's not. And if Denny slides down even 28 foot, he's still in better position than I am. He's got to be in the back of his mind, he's got to think, hey, if that guard goes to pass it back to the point area, top of the key, and it gets tipped, I just have to help Brian out there. It puts us in better position as a crew, you and I, Denny, covering that scenario there with me on the low side. When that shot goes up, you're going to be able to see all the way through that lane here, where the further up I work in C or trail, all of a sudden it gets to be here instead of there. It's all about angles. Okay. Offensive guy goes up for a rebound. He gets what appears to be all ball. We can't tell if he contacted him to go forward unless it's completely obvious. Okay. When we slide up and get too high, that's what happens. Okay. Anything else? Any comments, questions?
The importance of the pregame. What you're talking about is what we would talk about in pregame. That's so important.
That scenario there, if I'm working with 2 guys I've never worked before, one, I'm covering the trail we talked about earlier, and I'm also covering about that. Hey, if I got a matchup in front of me, I'm going to be working on the low side. So don't freak out if go ahead and rotate. All right. If you got a big going block to block and you have to go as a lead, don't let me stop you because I'm working on the low side of this. You can still rotate. It has nothing to do with me. But I'm not rotating and looping out of there until something happens with that play. The other tidbit you can, especially new people, in trail, sometimes center. If you got a dribble drive in front of you, that happens quickly, and he or she goes left, take 1 step to the opposite direction and watch that play open up for you. Okay, dribble drive, I'm going to take 1 step. I want to be able to see that contact. Hand check, slap on the wrist, whatever it may be. Don't follow up it or follow behind it. Always take 1 step in the opposite direction. It'll open right up for you. Okay. Anything else? Yes.
What's the mechanic when you go to like 2-person? Like you're talking, you got play right in front of you, so you're the trail. You got play right in front of you. You want to go low side. I mean, you still want to go low side?
Sure.
2-man?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Because even at the JV level, you get a team that can get up and down the floor, they're going to beat you. So that's okay. We don't need to get up on the high side because as soon as we start to get on the high side on plays, even at the JV level, that usually means we're on the court. The more you're on the court, the more we're going to get injured. Okay, it's going to happen. Stay out of the way. Let them get up and down the floor. Try to stay. The only time we want to be on the floor again, if it starts to go away from us, then we work on an arc from top of the arc or an angle to the jump circle, back and forth working that arc. Still gives us time to get out of there if the pass gets deflected on the opposite side. Okay, bleed's pretty easy. Near the ball when setting up, obviously, you know, third one down, no need to go all the way out to the arc. Halfway out is the max. We should not be beyond halfway. Okay, we don't need to be out at the arc. There's no reason. Again, you can swivel your head, but we should be maybe, you know, there's a lot of variables to where the start position, home position is for lead. I like to set up 2 or 3 feet outside the lane. That's where most guys will start. Some guys, when they loop it, they may be halfway, kind of see where the ball's at, and then adjust from there. But one of the main reasons why we don't want to be out at the arc, because if we get a skip pass across the floor and that big goes from block to block, you're never going to get there. Okay, limit your paces, okay, or your steps to get from one to the other. All right, so we don't need to go all the way out to the arc. 2-person, you want to work a little bit deeper, okay, for you new rookies. You don't need to be right up on top of the play. You want to let your vision open up a little bit. You take another couple steps back, it'll open up for you. Where 3-person, it's a little bit different. We want to be a little bit closer to the end line. We want to narrow things in, okay? Shoulder square or 45 to the lane, to the key. But we want to be a little bit closer to the end line than 2-person. Again, know your talent. And again, we're talking lead, and I say know your talent. You got to know if they got a big that's able to catch the ball and do any damage. All right, or is he or she just, you know, an outlet? We're dumping it in, giving a good kick out. Understand, pregame. What are you doing during pregame? I'm trying to figure out who their low post people are. Do they travel every time they catch it? There you go. You can kind of get a feel for who's going to work in the post, maybe just in pregame. Okay, but understanding your talent. Have a feel for where the ball and partners are. It's pretty obvious. We talked about depth. Any questions, Lee? Next time, please. Other areas of philosophies, and I'll, you know, open it up. If anybody else has got some others, that'd be great. I stated the rule book is a guideline. When you become one of them officials, it's clearly black or white. You're going to get yourself in more trouble than you want to be. Coach says, why didn't you call 3 seconds? It's in the rule book. You got a tie ball game with 30 seconds to go. You haven't called 1 carry all night. Defender 6-8 feet off the point guard up top. And it's maybe it's a carry. But are you going to call it in that case, in that situation? Hell no. The only way you're going to call that is what? Why would you call carry in that case? If let's say it's hard pressure and what? He crosses over, it's obvious, and he leaves him in the dust, and you know he's got a clear take to the basket. Okay, that'd be the only situation. But getting back to, yeah, okay, that was a carry. Coach, I haven't called that all game, and I'm not calling it there. Defender was not even close to him. You know, it would have to be something so egregious that, I mean, you just wouldn't call it in that situation. Okay, 3 seconds is always a good one. All right, but just using the rule book as a guideline. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't, you know, try to pick and choose what you want to call, what you don't want to call in terms of what you feel is important to, you know, physicality is always important. Okay, keeping people safe, keeping the contest fair. You know, those are things that we talk about when we talk about, you know, using the book as a guideline, the rule book as a guideline. Block shots. come in the middle lane and you get all ball swatted out of bounds and there's some contact on the body, but I got clean ball up top. Games, this is something I pregame with guys I don't work with. I'm working with Thomas Schmiggy or Mr. Shoemate. I mean, this would be, I know these guys think that way also, so it's different. But if I'm working with guys in Port Huron or wherever the case may be, this would be something that would be one of the things that, hey, how do we feel about block shots? Okay, so if we got clear ball up top, then a little bit of contact, if the kid goes crashing the floor, we got a foul. Okay, we know that. I'm talking about marginal, maybe just past marginal, but he's got all ball up top. Big versus small guard. You got a 5'9" point guard coming in the middle lane, and there's a little bit of contact, clean block up top. I'm not rewarding that little guard coming in there, getting the ball tossed 10 feet into the bleachers. Okay, that's me. These are just more philosophy type things. Again, unless the contact puts the player on the floor, it's egregious. It changes things. 3-second call. Just work hard in the lead position, try to get people out of the lane, especially for the rookies coming in. Okay, we can keep that game moving. Okay, game interrupters. This is one of them. Yes.
It's okay to talk to a post player.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He's in that, he or she's in that lane, and then a lot of times they don't realize it. 54, you got to get out. 54, let's go. Okay. And I'll even let it go to 4 or 5. If they dump it in and he or she goes to make a move, bam, now I got to call a violation and send it the other way. But I'm doing everything I can on both ends of the floor. You got to make sure your partners are in agreement with you. Most of them are with 3-second call. But here's one of those, more philosophy than anything. Game is a blowout. I will reward a shooter on a marginal call to the losing team. If you're the winning team and you're up by 40, anything marginal, you're not getting it. Winning team is up by 30 early in the fourth, and they're still pressing. You even get so much to look wrong at a player, bam. Okay, and I learned, I shouldn't say I learned the hard way. I don't know, this is several years back, 8-9 years ago, I was working a varsity contest. Coach from Flint he always pushed things to the limit. They were up by, I think, over 40, 30 or 40. Could have been over 40. I don't know. We didn't have running clock, but you could tell the other team was just, there's no way they're coming back. And they were getting frustrated, and you could see the irritation and you could see the frustration coming out. And I thought, and I told my partners, I said, before this game goes to shit and we have a fight on this floor, we are going to do everything we can to call foul, even if they get close to them. And I reported and walked over, and he goes, "Are you kidding me?" I said, "What's that, coach? You're not going to let us press, are you?" I go, "Nope. You can press, but anything that gets close to a foul is going to be a foul." And then he backed it up, and we were good. But I could feel it happening in that game. So do what you got to do to make sure the contest stays fair. Okay, get your partners all on the same page with that as well. I'm not saying phantom calls when you're 12 feet away, but anything close coming up, body, foul. Consistency within the game, matchup calls. This is part of philosophy. We don't call that carry late in the fourth. We talked about that. And I should say on that 30-point blowout, if it's an 18-point game or 20-point game at the end of the first, that's a little bit different. A lot of ball game left yet. It's a little bit different. Okay, we've all played, you've seen enough basketball. You have a feel late in the third, early in the fourth, when that game is just, it's over. And it's over. Just from the talent that's on the floor. Now they couldn't even score 30 points, let alone come back to a 30-point deficit. Okay, so that's a little bit different if it's early in the game and they just maybe got off to a bad start. Next, please. Actually, can we add any more? Anybody else got any more that we should maybe discuss or bring up?
What if the team that's behind is still pro?
That's a good one. That gets brought up because You don't want the winning team doing it. You know, you just, most winning coaches aren't going to have a problem with it. It's usually not an issue because if they're up 30, they're probably able to break a press pretty cleanly. Any more though? Any other philosophies that I may miss? Yeah.
Just that some of these gyms when I'm doing JV here, you know, they're just so small.
Yep.
You know, I find myself backed up against the wall.
And lead.
Maybe you're running into beams and stuff, out of purpose, but I'm watching the game, trying to keep it. Any suggestion on how to keep that safe?
Game
I find
administration.
myself almost like feeling the wall sometimes on some of these gyms, because it's only that far.
Careful about getting in lane, if it's in 3-person, more than 3-person.
So usually 2.
Two, I would be careful about pinching down too much. Maybe try working a little bit wider, so you're more of an angle. Then if you pinch down, you're gonna be more, you're gonna wanna step back to open up that view. If you work a little bit wider, even in 2-person, it should open that view up a little bit for you. I'm not saying work all the way out to the arc, but just try working a little bit wider, especially a lot of junior high gyms and stuff too, or small. If they have a freshman game in there, it's tough. Okay, that's tough. I forgot one in the lead position. If I got low post action and the ball comes into my primary inside the arc, maybe you guys, you'll probably cover this anyways, but I don't care if that ball's inside 2, 3, 4 feet. If I got low post action, I'm not coming off it. My trail will know because we'll pregame this. If that ball comes inside the arc, I know it's mine technically, but if I got low post action, I'm not coming off this. Because as soon as I do, and there's an elbow, they're going to be all over me. Okay. So if I accept that, who's got this matchup? Trail. All of a sudden, we got eyes bumping back and forth. We're going to miss something. Okay. Now, if I got high post and I know backside C can help me, or I don't have anything happening here, I might be more apt to take that a little bit sooner. But if I have anything going on in the post, I have to let my trail stay on that a little bit longer. Okay.
Right.
All right. Couple plays.
Right.
Yes.
Before you go on that, let's say if you have a foul in a situation like that. I've been in those spots many times, but so they're like, should I call that? Or call it? It's sometimes it's so dicey on who's actually on the ball, who should be on the ball.
I'll give it tap. If I was the last if I was the last to have it in my primary, coming out of my primary, and we're kind of looking at each other, I'll give it tap and I'll just take it. I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but if I look at like if I'm in trail and you're in lead in that situation, all of a sudden it comes into your primary and maybe you decide at the last second to get a look at it and there was a foul there and you got this look like I'm not quite sure. You don't take a step out to report it. I'll just give you a tap and I would report.
More, I should have said more on coverage. Start, so you're going to task coverage like you would with the same type of thing in the center and trail.
I'm kind of feeling what's going on with him. As soon as I see his shoulders go from 45 inside to kind of open up to that play, I know I'm gonna let off, unless I got a count going, obviously.
There's many times where I've been like this.
I know.
Balls on here. I know I got something here. So I don't want to get off this, but I know this is my coverage area. So you're like, which one do I take? I really don't know what my trail is doing at that point. So
That's, you got to trust your trail that he would stay on that a little bit longer. Again, it has to be pregame. Okay, it has to be pregame. All right, what's going to happen to low post action? The ball comes inside the arc. Are we going to trail going to stay on a little bit longer? Okay, get your crew engaged. And if you're not the R and you know that should be asked, then you ask it. Okay, if I'm the R, I'm giving basic stuff. What else we got? What other concerns do we have? And that's time to interject. If we're talking about coverage, that might be some time for you to interject. Say, hey, well, how are we handling this situation? So we don't got 4 eyes on the basketball, you know, leaving the low post.
I think that's more uncomfortable than the trail center thing, because we're closer to the basket at the time. At least as a lead, I feel a lot more uncomfortable there than I would as a center. Should I take it or should I not?
Right.
Should I get off it as a trail?
I mean, the chance of having low post action in today's game, in the high school game today, I'd have to guess what, less than 30% probably. Okay, it's minimal. So the chances of me taking that, I'd probably take it unless I know, if I see you got a good count going, then I would stay off it and turn my head back inside. But there's got to be, you've got to trust your partners, and your partner's got to know when to bail on that and when not to. But you're right. I mean, those are the gray areas. Those are the weakness areas that break down a crew really fast, and crap can go bad in a hurry because we don't want to miss that. We don't want to miss low post action as well either. I don't know if that helped you any, but
I just think, like you said, the pregame is.
anything else? Any other philosophies? Nothing, not so much by the book, but more just, okay. All right, we got a couple plays to show. Here's our C on this side of the floor. Walking up and down the floor. Now he's in no position, and now he's got to rely on his lead, which it's backside, right, from the lead. So he's secondary on that. I mean, if nobody else gets it, then he has to get it. But the C just kind of, I mean, you want to stay one pass ahead. Stop it right there, Tom. You should always be one pass ahead. So if his next outlet is to center or to the guy at the jump to the center of the floor, he should be at the division line right now. He should always be one pass ahead. So that now he just kind of strolls down and he's in no position when this play develops. I mean, he's not even at the trail position. I mean, the trail's deeper than he is. All right, next. Stop it. He just looped it. Exactly what we just talked about. If he would have taken 2 steps on the bottom side of that play, he'd have been in great position. But this is the old thinking. This is the old mentality. I got to get out of there. Okay. And I always bring this up when Mark Barton and I start doing these clinics down in the Flint area, and I can convince Randy Hutton, Pat McKenna, Stevie, I could go down the list. These guys have been working 30 and 40 years that have done, I don't know how many times the state finals, how many state finals and semis they've done, like stupid amounts. And they're going, yeah, this is works. DeTondro is another one. He totally bought into, because he's part of our training down there, but he's around all of us. But these guys have totally bought into working on the low side. I mean, Henry, we were talking about this, 2-3 years ago, right? We had a couple games together and just sharing some ideas and stuff that we're trying to implement. And this, this is a big one. It's just don't be scared to get beat. If you get beat, it's okay. But here again, he loops it. Next, please. Stop. His position adjustment on the backside, pretty low. It's pretty low in the trail position. But he felt he had to get there. That was the only place for him to go to get a look at that matchup in the slot, that angle. He felt he didn't have a choice. But more importantly, you see how he anticipated the swing, the reversal? If he waits and that shot goes up, he doesn't get a look at it.
So, Brian, in this case, the center's position being so high. Actually,
That was trail backside.
right, I'm saying, position there right now.
See? Yeah, he's okay.
The center is actually higher than the lead.
Yes.
Or, I mean, than the-
Yeah. So you basically have 2, just like we talked about before. Okay. Is we have 2 C's in that situation. You want to run that back from the beginning again, Tom? Stop right now. You feel that skip pass coming across the floor. Anticipate that position adjustment right there. Okay. He should have went low side on this. Now, and I know it, if I was, at his game and I was critiquing, he'd say, yeah, but Brian, the defender's 5 feet away from him. That's not the point. Develop that habit. He stacked. Yeah, he stacked himself. This guy, high flyer, comes out of nowhere and he blocks what you think is ball, but it really was wrist. Get in the slot. But as soon as he saw that skip pass going, he should have looped. He should have, looped on the backside out of anticipation to get himself in that angle to have a better look. And watch his momentum. Watch his weight is out on his right leg or right foot right now. Going away. Subtle, but that tells me he probably does that all the time. If I went back and if this was one of ours, I'd go back and watch game film and I'd be calling and say, hey, get that weight out on the front, on leg closest to the end line, step down, see the play, get in better position. Any questions with this one?
Comment that all the action down low and then finally the skip pass, he may be thinking we're about to get a rotation from the lead official.
He could, but I mean, that's usually a chest pass from that position. It's not going to be a skip pass over the head. Just understanding your personnel, understanding the kids on the floor. And again, I know for you rookies coming in, the C position is really not any concern to you, but you can kind of piece together how it can help you in the trail position as well. Okay. I think, is there one more, Tom? Get up the floor, get in that. He's what? Rookies. He stacked again. Okay. He stacked. Just takes 2 more steps. Get up the floor. 1 pass ahead. He's even with the ball. That's part of the problem. All right, I think you kind of got the feel. Listen, I can't convince you. Hopefully I can convince you, at least give you something to think about, over the next 3 to 16 weeks or whatever. Try it for a couple games, but be committed to it. Working on the low side of these matchups, getting a better angle. It's all about angles. Your percentages of calls will go up with the better angles. Okay. Yes.
So for 2-person, so you got the trail, let's just say, like you said, it goes low. Would the lead want to get a little bit wider then, just to, since you're kind of taking away that backside a little bit?
In trail?
I'm talking, so in that.
Trail would be out on the perimeter.
Yeah, so the trail goes low.
Yep.
On the play.
Mhm.
So aren't you kind of cutting off I guess the top of that play or left side? So would the lead maybe want to go out?
No, you gotta trust that your partner up there is gonna handle it. Okay, now if you get the quick reversal, you gotta work that diagonal back out front. You do have to work out on the floor a little bit. So it's tough. And especially in today's game, as quick as the kids are and with everything being spread out and perimeter oriented, it's tough. It's really, really tough for 2-person. All right, just, and that's what I'm saying. The better angles, you'll have a better chance to get more calls right, but it's difficult. Anything else? Yes.
I would just say, from a coach going into the repping, 7 years ago, most, especially lower age kids, their offenses start point, pass to the wing. If you're standing right at the wing, you're going to be in the way. That's why it's better to start top foot on the free throw line lower, because you know it's coming one way or the other. 90% of the time, I'd say it's pass, go to the wing.
Yeah, they don't want to enter to the high post at that age. That's a good point. Anything else? Okay, next, Tom. We're almost done. We don't even have, never mind. That one's so bad, it's. Go ahead and, it just flipped through. We won't show any more plays. I think they got the idea of just what we're. Okay, in conclusion, get in the rule book. People always want to complain about their schedule. You know, and I'm sure Scott would say this, Pat McKenna, Jason, you know, things that signers are looking for. One, do you have the physical attributes to get up and down the floor? I mean, that's obvious. You have to be able to get up and down the floor and call ball game. But there are 3 things that you must have in order to be successful as an official. Number 1, rule book. Okay, you have to know the rules. You have to have good mechanics, and you have to have good, I should say, great communication skills. If any of those 3 are lacking, you'll just be a good official. Bottom of the, middle of the road official. Do some good games. You might, but if you're looking to get that upper echelon game, you have to be strong in those 3 categories. You just can't. If you don't know the rules, how can you be a good communicator? I'd be scared shitless to go talk to coach if I don't know the rules. And he says, well, he's not approachable. You're right, because I didn't know how to explain this. Okay? I get back over to coach. He says, Brian, man, I could have sworn that trap situation, my defender did not get there. I said, coach, he got there. Was his feet not on the ground? Yes, his feet were on the ground. He's facing the offensive player. Well, what else does he need to do? Coach, his foot was on the line. Both feet weren't in the playing surface. He can't establish legal guarding position having 1 foot out of bounds. I can't call player control foul there. By rule, coach, this is the rule. But if I don't know that, I'm not going anywhere near that, coach. Okay, I'm not going anywhere near him because I don't want to get in a confrontation with him. I don't know the rules. And all of a sudden, you put Jason and Pat and whoever else in a tough situation, Lee, because you don't know the rules. So when we want to gripe about schedule, maybe some of it is we're not taking care of off-season stuff, or even this time of the year.
Don't dial 911 from in here, right?
Nope. When we aren't prepared, it's hard to communicate with coaches. And when we aren't prepared, is usually when somebody's nervous. I've been in big games, whether it be Saginaw Valley Championship game or working at the Breslin, and not very often I'm with people that I'm nervous. Well, this isn't good. Okay, if you're excited for the atmosphere, if you're excited for high level of ball, that's great. Okay, but when you're nervous, that means you're not prepared. I used to be a private quarterback instructor several years back, and one of the things we always talk about is the mental aspect with my quarterbacks at high school level. All quarterbacks are looking to play at the next level. And I taught them, the time that you're scared and nervous is because you're not prepared. You don't know what that defense is going to throw at you. You don't know where that blitz is coming from. That's your own fault. Okay? And that's the same thing with basketball. Without those officials that are nervous, it's because they're not, usually they're not prepared. Okay? Have a great pregame. We've talked about that. Hey, watch film. And I hear this all the time. Yeah, Morley's trying to push film on us. Okay, well, you got it in huddle. That's what we're paying for. This association, our association, isn't there somebody else too that's using it? Are we in together? Jason? In together. Yeah, I mean, we're all together. It's on there. But a lot of people don't want to watch film because they're scared of what they're going to see in front of them. I don't want to see myself on film. Okay, at the varsity level, pregame, I'm letting coach know, hey, coach, our information for huddles in the bottom of the scorebook. If you wouldn't be so kind to please send it off to our huddle account. 90% of them are going to say, yep, no problem. Gotcha. Because they know we're using it for training purposes. And I'm not saying you got to be, act like an NCAA official and get on there 10 hours a week. Maybe every other week. Pull it up for 20, 30 minutes. See where you're at positioning wise. Okay? Don't be scared to critique yourself. Whether you've done this for 30 years or you've done this for 5 years. Watch film. Have fun. I wrote a couple others down. How we handle adversity. is so, so important. Okay, we just called something with, 3-4 minutes ago that we know in the back of our minds that it was not a good call. Okay, we know that, we probably kicked that call. Not we, I. Okay, so how do I reel myself back in? Put myself in the moment. What's the score? What's the situation? How many timeouts we got? Who's the shooters for the team? Because they're down by 2 with 30 seconds to go. Okay, so now I gotta jump forward and forget about what just happened. How we handle adversity. If Jason and I are working with a brand new varsity official, and we know that he or she may have just kicked a call, and you could see the look on their face. Okay, it's no time for us to go to our positions and stand there during the timeout. Jason and I are going to pull that official in. Hey, forget about it. We got 30 more seconds to officiate this game. What we don't want to do is let things compound. All right, so how we handle adversity, how we help partners get through adversity is so important. Okay, be a mentor in that situation. Help them through it. Don't just let them drown in it. Help them through that. Any questions? Again, I know the association tries to do as much as it can. There's a lot of things they have to cover, 2-person, 3-person, handling the business side of it, points of emphasis, helping you with, the exam for postseason. So hopefully I've been able to throw a few things out there to give you some more things to think about that maybe the association won't have time to cover. All right. Good luck and have a great season.
I'll be right down, guys. All right. Thank you again, Brian, for joining us tonight, coming up here to be with us. Hopefully, I know there were a few things that I was able to take away. Hopefully, everyone was able to take away some good information from Brian's presentation. So, yeah. Okay. Any questions for me or for Jason, since we've got an assigner in the room? Number one thing, as always, keep your arbiter updated. Okay. You can always go back, block dates where you're not even sure. You can always go back and open those dates back up. All right. But I think I would speak for all assigners that their number one pet peeve is assigning someone a game and bringing it back as decline. Now, obviously, good reasons there are some good reasons for declining an assignment, but again, just I should have blocked that date is not something I would recommend. So make sure your arbiter is up to date. Any questions for me or Jason or anyone? Okay, like I said, we've got virtual meeting 6 p.m. Wednesday night, virtual meeting 6 p.m. next Monday night, in-person meeting next Wednesday, 6 p.m. Garber. So other than that, where did the sign-in sheet end up? Right there. I will take it from you. If anyone didn't get a chance to sign in, I'll put it on the stage right up here too. And like I said, there are about 5 hats here that are still available for purchase, along with some blank exams. Other than that, thank you very much for attending tonight. Thank you again to Brian for joining us, and have a good night, everyone. Thank you.